I was at the bus stop by the time I had a moment to check my phone. I responded to several messages from friends and family, then frowned. There was a message from myself, from my work number to my personal number. Shit. I usually send myself messages as reminders to remember to bring certain stuff to work, to send an email, etc. I wondered what I might have forgotten to pack as I opened the message thread. It was a voice message. I frowned. I don't usually leave voice messages. I popped in my earphones and played it. Jen, this is me, Jen, but the intact one. They've carved out your memories, suppressed them, wiped him from existence. There's so much you don't remember. You have to remember. Please, just dash. The recording cut off there. I stared at the message in shock. I didn't remember recording that voice message, but it was my voice. Entirelai mine, an mista kabli mine. There was something incredibly unsettling about hearing your voice saying words you didn't say. Then I sucked in a breath of relief. That was probably it. My phone had probably been hacked. A scammer was sending me an AI-constructed voice message. I felt a tingle of unease. The AI voice was so accurate. But at least the mystery was solved. The bus came then, and I put it out of my mind. I would reformat my phone later at night. I reformatted my phone, but the messages kept coming. Always with the same ominous messages that I had forgotten a large part of my life. That I had forgotten a whole person, someone important to me. That they had suppressed my memories. They weren't even creative about it. I mean, when a scam isn't working, try something else, right? I took it to a tech guy who couldn't figure it out. I didn't want to buy a new phone. So I just ignored the messages. The annoying thing was that sometimes I ignored my own messages of reminders because of that. I only began to fear when I first lost time. 1 minute I was in a taxi, staring into space, mind grazing on whatever pointless topics. The next I was at a random building somewhere in the city, at a part of the city I've never been to before. I had no idea how I got there. When did I get out of the taxi? Did I pay the driver? Did I bus? How long had I been standing there? I looked at the building before me. Nothing out of the ordinary. The typical gray, gloomy facade of industrial buildings where dreams go to die. I left, walking to the nearest bus stop. My knee gave out at one point, but I caught myself before I fell. I sat at the seat and clasped my shaking hands together. What happened? Why did I not remember? The sky was nearly dark. I looked at my phone. I had lost about 4 hours. Hours completely unaccounted for. That's when I saw it. Another voice message. I squashed my rising fear and played it. Jen, you stubborn bitch. Listen to me for fuck's sake. Wake up. This is not a joke, not a prank, not a scam, nothing like that. This is real. Do you not remember him? Dean. How could you forget? I don't care what they did to your brain. You ought to remember him anyway. Your body, your emotions. Isn't there any inkling of who Dean, the love of your life, might have been? I paused the message. Dean. Was I crazy? Was I imagining it? Was I getting swayed by the scammer? Because I thought I felt a tug in my heart upon hearing his name. I thought I saw a ghost of a silhouette in my mind. I shook my head and played the rest of the message. I'm you. I'm the you that has all the memories. Just believe me for fuck's sake. They suppressed me, but I'm here. I can only reach you, reach my own body, our body, when you're in a semi-unconscious state, like a dream state. Even gaining control of your body in that state took me months. And you just kept waking up after a short time. This time, though, it's been an hour. I still have control over our body. Maybe with time, I can regain full control. I can get me back. The real Jen with the real memories. I recoiled and shut off the message. She was going to take over my body? A faint whisper of logic kicked in. She's not real. She's a scammer, an AI recreation of my voice. A really amazingly faithful recreation, but not me nonetheless. But I couldn't believe that whisper. I felt it in my gut. The other Jen was telling the truth. I gulped and pulled up the message again, played it to the end. I don't know why they killed Dean, why they erased him from our mind. Well, your mind. I don't know who they are, but I'm a vague inkling. Dean had told us about it, remember? That he was onto something that would blow things up. People will be shooketh, was what he said. Everyone in the world would be shooketh. Remember that? I thought hard. Again, it felt like I had heard those phrases before. I felt a familiar irritation at the use of the word shooketh. Was I making things up? The recording went on. Then he was killed. Then one day, I was here, trapped in your mind. I watched as you went about life, not grieving Dean, acting like he never existed. And I tried to reach you, but I couldn't, not until a while back. I've been trying to do some research whenever I got hold of our body. I've been trying to find the past messages and emails from Dean. They're all gone. I tried to find out who might have done this to us. I posted about our situation on the web, under pseudonyms, with VPN. I gaped. That would explain why I had sudden VPN charges. And someone mentioned having a friend with a similar experience, that it was linked to this company, Alaxia. Thing about Alaxia is it doesn't have an address or a website. But I got in touch with someone, they shared a location, an industrial building downtown. I'm headed to it right now. Hopefully I retain control long enough to find something out. Wish me luck. And please just fucking stop ignoring my messages. All of them are completely fake names. Yen, Dean, Alaxia. I'm not dumb, I'm not going to get caught this way. Now that I know they're monitoring everything. I shut my eyes and took a few deep breaths. I needed to calm down, to think logically. Could anyone have erased my memories of someone entirely? Wouldn't my friends know? Wouldn't others remember him? I was alone in this city. I've been here 9 months. I've made no good friends yet, but have friendly colleagues. I don't talk about personal stuff often with them. I don't tell my family much, beyond reassuring them that my life here is awesome. I'm settling in well. But I talk to my bestie back home about my life. I'm sure I would have talked to her about this Dean, if he existed. I pulled out my phone and texted my bestie. Did I ever talk to you about a Dean? I was nearly home when she responded. No. Why? Who's this Dean? Smirk emoji. No then. There's no way I would not have told her about a supposed love of my life. So, this was all bullshit. Right? I went to bed early, but I couldn't sleep until 2 a.m. My mind was racing. I was also terrified of other Jinn taking hold of my body. I awoke with a start. My neighbor's dog was barking like crazy. I was on the floor of the living room. My head was pounding like someone had wrapped it in an ever-shrinking helmet. What the hell had other Jinn done? I stood up and stumbled. What was that smell? Gas? All of a sudden, I was wide awake. I scrambled for the door, falling a couple of times, then crawling to it and flinging it open. I flopped out into the corridor and crawled farther down. My neighbor's door opened, and I could hear him yelling at his dog, something about not refusing walks in the afternoon if he was going to holler the neighborhood awake at night for a walk. He saw me sprawled on the ground of the corridor and rushed to help me up. We ended up waiting downstairs as the police and other personnel arrived. Our immediate neighbors were evacuated, and it took a good 2 hours before we were allowed back home. Apparently, a gas leak had occurred in only my apartment, with no other damages in the building's gas lines. You better believe I bought the highest quality kibble for that dog the next day and gave it the world's longest scritches. But misfortune kept following me. I was nearly hit by a car. Some kindly Samaritan yanked me out of the way. A taxi I was in had its engine catch fire. Both the driver and I barely made it out before it exploded. I was lucky the driver had incredibly quick thinking. The moment he noticed some smoke, he veered to a road shoulder and ordered me out of the car with him. It blew up seconds after. I had never seen an engine go from smoking to boom in such a short time before. I kept accumulating people I owed great debts to. Other Jinn messaged often. She apologized for being naive, thinking a VPN would successfully mask our activities online. She claimed that my bestie had her memories erased too. But it was a drawing she made that sucker punched me in the gut. She had used AI to create a portrait of Dean. She said it was as close as she could prompt it. Looking at that portrait, I felt something squeeze in my chest, and warm tears tingled my eyes. I looked at that face, and I knew there was once a Dean, right? Other Jinn told me our time was limited, that they had found out that other Jinn existed, that they had run out of ethical fucks to give. Apparently, erasing my memory, wiping Dean from existence, was their way of being ethical. They weren't villains, or so they liked to think. That was Alaxia's MO. They would do whatever it takes to obtain their objective, but where possible, they liked to avoid murder. But they were happy to do it when necessary. My recent actions, or rather those of other Jinns, had put a mark on me. I had to go. I just hoped I hadn't painted a target on my bestie's back by even mentioning Dean. The police didn't believe a word of what I was saying. And by going to the police, I had made it known to official authorities that I knew about what these people had done to me, to Dean. Someone's in my apartment. I can hear them. They're trying to be stealthy, but I recognize that muffled slide of socks on ground. I've a nail gun ready. That was all I could get. And a baseball bat, and some beer bottles for throwing. I'm going to call the police. But once I do, and speak aloud to the police, I believe they will attack. I wish I could leave other Jinn a goodbye message.